Greetings. We are so glad that you have stopped by to take a look at what we're doing today here at TCTV. I am here on this lovely day to celebrate Kwanzaa. And I want to be able to give you some information about what Kwanzaa is all about because a lot of people don't know. And I'm not the expert on it, but I want to give you what I know and how it's worked in my life. And there will be several guests here today who will kind of speak to how they have incorporated Kwanzaa principles in their life as well. We're going to be talking about the history of Kwanzaa, the founder, how this whole thing got started. We'll also talk about what's the purpose of celebrating Kwanzaa and the 7 principles. And we'll be looking at, what type of festivities are going to be held throughout the year that you can actually participate and partake in celebrating Kwanzaa throughout the year, as opposed to just the 7 days out of the year. I have today with me a special guest. This is Fatu Mateen. She is a beautiful person that I've come to know who has been just a spiritual and a cultural aware person who has shared her words of wisdom with many, and particularly myself. And she is the executive director of Integrity Solutions, and she is the artistic director of Rhythm and Rituals. And so, Fatu, tell me, how do you celebrate Kwanzaa?
Yes.
What does Kwanzaa mean to you?
To me. First, I want to just thank you so much, Arkame, for being in the company of you and your family and how much you all have meant to me in this community. Thank you so much. And I always like to give thanks to the Creator, always. And that's a spiritual practice, is every day with the name of our Creator, most gracious and most compassionate. So that's #1 principle.
Yes.
And I'd like to say, moving from Gary, Indiana in 1981 with a 2-month-old baby, it was an experience and cultural shock because Gary, Indiana was like little Africa. It was 99 3/4% black. So after being blessed with an African dance class, I found home.
Wow.
I found home because African dance is worship with the body.
Yes.
And as a result of that dance class, I was blending fragrances and making incense at home as a spiritual practice, as a hobby, as a way to bring fragrant energy to an environment. So I would take these oils and incense to the class in order to invoke a feeling of nuance and fragrance and ambiance and to deepen our dance experience. And people start to ask me, how can I get that? Where can I get that? So I began to blend oils to dance and dance to blend oils. And that became my steady date. Now, whenever you're in an African dance class, you're going to be introduced to African merchants. They're going to be bringing baskets and all of the things that you've brought today for Kwanzaa, the baskets, the drums, the mask. And we also got introduced to shea butter. So shea butter became part of that steady date. And I want to introduce you today also to products that Rhythms, the company, has developed. And this is one of the ways that we have been creative and we've offered that creativity to the people. Our shea butter exotic blend is about moisturizing and nurturing the skin. If you think of a plum, it's that fruit inside of the plum that is cracked open and boiled to the top. These products that we have, it also includes the oils, and we have special blends like melanin, which is not only the pigmentation of skin, but it's also about history and cultural education. And you can get these in the lotions and the shower gels and the bath salts and the custom blends. And then from that vision, we went on to develop an organization called Integrity. Integrity, when I think of integrity, Arkame, I think of in the grit, walking with the Creator's will.
Yes.
And this is also part of Kwanzaa. So what Integrity Incorporation is about is solutions that work. We became interested in the prison population, those returning from incarceration, those in displaced situations.
Right.
We're doing entrepreneurship development, and we're telling people that they have a right to redefine work. When you think about Kwanzaa, you think about the founders and some of the things that you've shared with me, you know, for a long time. And I think about our children. I mean, Arkame, we've got grandchildren now.
Yes.
So we really are dealing with legacy. And there was a people that thought about planting an olive tree that wouldn't produce for 10 years. So I really feel good about that in some of the projects that we're doing. We want people to learn about business, learn about finance, learn about investing, learn about making that vision big enough to empower others. So that's our Integrity Solutions. Rhythms, the company, allows people opportunities to be able to resell the products and make their money and also be involved in the crafting classes.
Right.
And then we have Rhythms and Rituals. See, we've interwoven rhythm throughout our whole life, which are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. So Rhythms and Rituals is our dance theater because we believe that art has a lot of value.
Yes, indeed.
And that people need to socialize through the arts. It gives them meaning. It expresses things that words can never say. The African people believe that words can take you into exile. So if you use too many words, you've moved away from meaning. So we welcome the poets and, you know, the painters and the dancers and the interior designers. Everyone is a life experience, and that's also part of Kwanzaa.
Yes.
We want to let you know about a production called Prayer. Everybody's talking about what makes prayer meaningful. If you're cooking and you want your food to be nutritious for everybody that eat it, that's a prayer. So on February 5th, we want to invite all of you to come and experience Rhythms and Rituals dance production featuring saxophone, spoken word, dance. Where does prayer begin and where does it end? And so again, it's an
Awesome.
ongoing conversation about Kwanzaa in our life and continuing every day to just grow ourselves.
Right, right. That's beautifully said. I mean, really. When I think about how you I've been to, you know, a circle with you and, you know, did a dance, and I felt anointed in the dance. And it prepared me for another move, for another, you know, another piece of my life, you know, something happened. And I had to have that anointing to be able to, you know, make that next move. And so you're going to grace us with one of your dances today?
Yes, I am.
Awesome,
I am.
awesome. Well, I want to just kind of go through some of the history, and I really didn't get a chance to tell you about who I am. And so I'll just briefly say that I'm Arkame Curry. I have lived in Thurston County since 1985, and I do have a dual residence right now in Whatcom County. However, I've been blessed today to be actually living out a goal of mine. I have a business called Callous Emotion, and basically it's about reaching and touching people and sharing the God in me with the God in them, and helping people just kind of move forward. I've been a public servant for 30 years, 10 of that in the Department of Social and Health Services, and then the other with the criminal justice system. And from counselor to therapist, I've seen quite a few different people from different economic situations, social status, I mean, the whole gamut. And people are in need of some help. This goal for me to be here today is almost like a full circle kind of a thing for me. I am originally from Los Angeles, California, and Dr. Karenga, who invented this this celebration, is also from California, and he has started this movement, started the movement of United Slaves in the 60s, when the 60s were really having a hell of a time for African American people, being suppressed by our government. and a lot of different police, issues, being mostly talking about abusive behaviors. And we're starting to see more of that again today. And so for me to be talking about this today, this is not about a bash, but this is about a celebration. But one of the things there's a disconnect in how many people of color are incarcerated and are really not in touch with themselves. And I just have to say that Kwanzaa saved my life. And I used to be one of those people who was on their way to prison or to the grave, literally. And something happened in my life, and it was in the 70s, and I had some beautiful music and some angels looking out after me. But in the meantime, I grew into understanding about these 7 principles. And I just want to kind of go through a couple, the 7 of them right now, and just to share, what they really are. And they're not anything pie in the sky. It's just about wanting something better for myself, wanting something better for my children, wanting something better for my community. And once upon a time, I didn't give a rip, but now I do. And so that's why I want to share it with you. So the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, the first one is Umoja. And Umoja is Swahili, and a lot of the terms are in Swahili. But I don't speak Swahili, I'm not fluent, but I do know what it means. And it does mean unity. And we do a lot of focus around unity when we're celebrating the first day of Kwanzaa, which is bringing in the elders, worshiping the Creator, and just asking Him to guide us, and asking us what I would do. And let me just say this: what I would do when I am celebrating unity, I definitely do a libations, and then I open it up to the 6 directions of the planet, and giving homage to my ancestors for allowing me to be here and to move forward the generation. And so from that, we also want to move forward our community as well. And so, and we're talking about people of color, but not only people of color, because I'm more than just African. I'm more than that. And I'm more than just a woman. And I'm, more than that. So it's just collectively understanding who I am and what my purpose is. And once I know that, then I can actually do some reaching out to the community with that community unity piece. And so the next one is Kujichagulia. And that's self-determination. That's the second principle. And self-determination is crazy big. We have a lot of people who don't have a clue about that, and that's why they are in situations of dire need, whether they be in prisons or dead or on the streets or just kind of lost, kind of living a life that's not going anywhere. And so if we want our people and our families and our children to move forward, there's some things that we're going to have to start refocusing about and looking at how can we first check ourselves and then move our family and our friends and our community forward. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. That is very big. The idea, I have 2 children who are adults, and I have a granddaughter who's 17. And it's really important that we are working together with one another in the community to achieve a place where we can actually seek honor and respect within the people that who we live with. Today, I mean, we don't see that much trust in one another, and we don't have that dialogue. But it all starts with one step, one person. Yes. And I have to tell you, listening to Fatu, you shared that, how you got here. Yes. I got here too in a different kind of way. And I was 18 years old, homeless up here in Washington with 2 children. And it wasn't funny and it wasn't easy. But I knew that I couldn't call on anybody else. I had to call on God, and called on myself to get real about exactly what I was going to be doing with my 2 kids, because I couldn't see my kids being raised in a foster home, much like I was when I was younger. But if I would have continued to, stay in this same spot that I was in California, I'm sure it would have been curtains. So the collective work is actually finding people in the community that you can either mentor or people that can be a mentee, and you know, working together on projects. You know, whether it's at school, whether it's in the you know, the social networks, whether it's in the prisons. There's a need. Find it and do it. Just find somebody. You know, later at the end of the show, we'll be giving some information, and we will have you go ahead and you know, call if you like, or actually you know, email us, and we can hook you up with people that, if you have an interest in, you know, being out in the community and doing some collective work and being responsible, you know, with it, definitely call us. Ujamaa is cooperative economics, and this is supporting each other in our businesses. And much like Fatu was saying about the entrepreneurial piece, it's very important that we do start doing that. And as these economic times, the way as crazy as they are, it's not impossible. Yes. You have something that you're good at. Start fine-tuning it and figuring out what it is, or find somebody that can help you find that out, to look for that. And saving money, you know, and being smarter with our money, as opposed to, you know, being a spendthrift. And I definitely had that issue, so I do know what it's about, but we can change it and we can correct it. Nia, the purpose, that's all what this is all about, truly. You know, what is your purpose for being on the planet? Let's be real about that. You know, the times are short, people are having hard times, and, you know, we don't know, we're not guaranteed, you know, one day to the next. But what is how are you spending your time? And what do you want to be doing with it? And looking back at your ancestors, you know, when you think about how far they've come to get here, for you to get here, how can you actually lift them up by continuing to move forward in their name? Kuumba, creativity, and that's one of the principles that I asked Fatu to be here today, is because she is such a creative person, and more than that, I mean, she is more than just creative, but she has created so many things and has touched so many people's lives with her inner peace and joy and willingness and shine, you know. You know, she has a glow about her, and it's contagious, and we just need more of that. And so I just really appreciate you being here under that principle today. Thank you for coming. And then there's faith. What'd you say about that? What can you say about faith? Now, I'm serious. This moment right now is a faith walking move. I am not good in front of cameras. I'm not the one to be in front of TV and doing all this. But faith brought me here because I feel like it's such an urgent, it's urgent that you and our community wake up to what is going on. It's going to take you and me and other people like us to really get up off our behinds and get it going. I mean, and do what you can. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to give you know, money. Do what you can do. You know, we really do need to step up our game, because I believe the planet is on another shift. That's just my thought. And the thing is that the faith that you have in the Creator, even if you don't believe in yourself. Just check that out for a minute, and then let that grow. One of the things I have that I have been sharing with people is, are you 3G'd? Are you? And I don't know if you know what that means, but it's like this. Got God glow? Question mark? Or got God glow? What? Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Seriously. You know, that's what I have. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me doing what I'm doing from one moment to the next. But the idea is just have some faith in yourself to get prepared for the next movement that's getting ready to happen in this planet. These are some things happening, and I'm not trying to be, you know, all out there, you know, with the cosmos stuff. But there is something going on the planet, and I know you know it because it's happening to everybody. You know, it's not just me. So you can shut it down or turn it off, but it's still there. You may not be there, but it's still there. So faith is about how our people had faith in us, in the vision, in the thought that I have to take care of myself because there's something coming after me. And so we just give the Creator, I do, give the Creator the glory about the whole process of how we've been brought this far, and how He's graced our families, how He's graced our, you know, our communities, and we have so much more work to do. But we're doing it in the increments that we can do it, and I just think we could do more.
Yes.
So thank you for listening to those 7 principles. There's more to be said about that, and there's plenty of books on Kwanzaa. You can do a lot of you know, Googling and whatnot. And Dr. Karenga has a nice website, and he writes for the Los Angeles Sentinel column every week. And I think it's worth paying attention to. And hopefully you'll get something out of that. So, moving right along.
Yes. Thank you so much, all of you and all of humanity. This is for all of you.
Yes.
And a special thanks to you, Arkame. You so represent intimacy and the bond of womanhood. Thank you so much for being my sister friend. Peace and love to all of you for the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So I had something. I was talking to one of our cameramen today, and we'll be talking to him a little bit later because he is a talented person, and he's multitasking today. But he's a Renaissance man, and we need more Renaissance men. Please
Yes.
step up and step out, would you? Thank you. Okay, but today is we're taping this show, and it's November the 20th, and you know, I have this book called Acts of Faith. I share this book with people, you know, that just need, you know, some encouragement. They're already going that place, but sometimes it's just a word, somebody sharing something, a spiritual word, and it's not God, this kind of thing, but it's like talking directly to you. And this book does that. And this book is written by Iyanla Vanzant, and it's called Acts of Faith. And I've shared this in my practice and my kids and friends and what have you. Okay, so let me just read this real quick. And it says, let not what you cannot do tear from your hands what you can. What you can? So let not what you cannot do tear from your hands what you can. Are you getting that?
Yes.
We were talking about fear. That's what we were talking about when before we started the show today. And so this kind of speaks to just be still for a minute and just think about all the things that you can do, you know, and what you're willing to do to change your life, to make an impact on someone else's life.
To the people of the hilltop, do you now realize what you got? Because they sure do. They've been strategizing, been mobilizing behind the scenes, because they're really scared of you. So they'd rather get rid of you, take care of you. This time, however, they're calling it gentrification. What that is the restoration, the rehabilitation of a deteriorating urban property. This here is the real-life crooked game of monopoly, perpetrated by the middle class and affluent people, often resulting in the displacement of those with lower incomes. Seems like equality has an evil twin that attempts to destroy from within. But perhaps the only real cardinal sin is impatience. Because of impatience, we're being driven out of paradise. Because of impatience, we may never return. How can you stick your hand in a flame and not get burned? They even try to change your name to Upper Tacoma. This in an attempt to remove all hope from you. But that didn't work. That didn't even stick. Hilltopia, that's the name that we pick. You see, your genocide won't destroy this community, for we are a communal people. We have unity. Just peek into any church. Look on any street corner, and you'll see us congregating, yes. You'll see us participating on Hilltopia. Don't you know this is where God lives? This is where Jesus, John, Luke, Paul, and Matthew is? This is where our babies were born.
Come on.
This is where you come running back to when your life is torn. This is where our homies died. This is where our mamas and our nanas cried. So this is where my loyalty lies, on Hilltopia, where the hospitals are, healing and extending lives of people who live near and far. Just check out our view. They've seen it. Now they want to take that too. This truth here has been long overdue. And we know you planted that poison here to keep us distracted, keep us in fear. But shed no more tears, Hilltopia, shed no more tears. And realize that they're going to make sure we have the best of the worst things and the worst of the best things, resulting in some of us committing crimes to feed our families, resulting in some of us serving time, for we're public enemy. Before you came, there were no children being stolen from our parks. Before you came, we was chilling in Browns and in Rylanders after dark on Hilltopia.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. That is Tacoma poet laureate Antonio Edwards. In case you didn't know, now you do. And that is that's my camera person too. He is also the Renaissance man on our team today. But that message is deep, and I know you felt that. And it's true. So we are going to be seeing him again today. He's our special guest, one of our special guests. And now we're going to move on. And thank you so much, Antonio, for that. That was powerful. We're going to move on to Professor, pastor, attorney, Carl Livingston Carl L. Livingston Jr.
Yes.
And he is here with us today. He has a new book that definitely speaks to one of the principles in Kwanzaa. Actually speaks to quite a few principles in Kwanzaa. But we have him representing Ujamaa.
Yes.
And cooperative economics. We were talking about that earlier. So, Pastor, Professor Livingston, you have 21 years teaching at Seattle
Central Community College.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. And you don't look like you're old enough to be there for 21 years, matter of fact. But you know what they say. Well, I ain't going to go there. But you know what they say. But in the meantime, you're also a pastor of Kingdom Christian Center.
Yes.
And this book, very powerful and very needed. And so I'd like you to kind of talk about, how does this book, I know, and I can, because I've read some of the chapters, I haven't read it back cover to cover yet, but how does this book actually fall into the Kwanzaa principles? If you talk a little bit about that.
The book Shoestrings and Bootstraps, a development plan for African America or Black America, falls into the principles of Kwanzaa, because it's about really all 7 of the various days, the various themes of Kwanzaa, but it emphasizes most collective economics. I had the good fortune of being the keynote speaker at Black Dollar Days Task Force, one of their annual meetings, and it was at that annual meeting that I brought this quote along that's on the back of the book from Ossie Davis that said, give us a plan, a 10 Black commandments, simple and strong, that we can carry in our hearts and in our minds, so that it informs everything that we do, so that even if our leaders are killed, we'll say after the funeral is over, now let's go to page 3. And we still don't have that plan. And so I came and asked them to write a plan, at least for the greater Black Seattle. And when I got done, the leaders there asked me to write the plan.
All right.
And so
sometimes that's what happens.
Sometimes,
you ask the question,
that's right. You get
and you know what? Find the solution. And I'm just so glad you did.
Well,
now we need to get up on the reading and start implementing it. But go ahead. I cut you off.
Well, what I want to say though is that it really ties also into your life and what you're doing. People like you who are our local leaders in the various cities trying to mobilize our community. and to help us help ourselves. It ties into the poem that we just heard,
Yes.
Hilltopia, because that's our way of celebrating ourselves and making sure we name ourselves, making sure we are about self-determination.
Yes, indeed.
And it's about rediscovering our own identity, because they say if you don't know your identity, you won't be able to find your destiny.
All right.
And as we begin to really discover who we are, we realize we weren't born in slavery, we weren't born in slave ships. We didn't come over, we weren't created just from the water, that we're the original people. That we
Okay.
came from builders, both men and women, fathers and mothers,
Yes.
on the African continent.
That's right.
And that all of life started from us, and that we can pick up ourselves when we've been pushed down, even if those who pushed us down don't pick us up, and we can build things out of nothing.
All right. That's real.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that and planting that seed. You know, sometimes one of the things I notice is that we will have an expectation. You know, we'll speak something into existence, and then when we're sharing it with someone, we have an expectation that this will get done.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Come on, wake up. Let's get it going. We got to do this thing, right? But sometimes just planting the seed and stepping away, because everybody has their own experience and how that thing is going to come to fruition. And when I think about this book, I just think if we could plant this seed, the plan, give people the knowing of what this is all about, I think it'll be a choice that they'll want to make, as opposed to somebody saying, hey, you know what, you need to get off your butt and come on and get it. They'll want to do it. But when you don't know, you don't know.
Yes. I think you're so right. The seed means everything. And it's also important for us to realize that we can't look to anybody to pick us up. So we have to plant those seeds. And,
Yes.
you know, we can't wait on Obama as much as we like President Obama and are proud of him. They got him boxed in, and they're
That's
making
right.
sure that he doesn't do anything directly that helps us, at least anything significant. We're back
Have
to
you noticed
having to
that?
help ourselves. Yeah, and we got to help him.
Exactly.
We've got to help him.
Exactly.
And so then we're back to figuring out what we're going to do. But when we begin to rediscover our identity, we realize, you know what? We are the people that came through all the S's. We came through the slave trade.
That's right.
Through some rough waters, the Middle Passage.
That's right.
And God, now we're talking about another, Imani, that important
yes.
last day of Kwanzaa, helped us through that. And we're the people that made it through slavery, that S. These things looked impossible when we were facing them. We hadn't come over waters like that. We hadn't come through slavery like that. That is the worst form of slavery known to humanity. We'd never seen anything like that. And we survived that. Other peoples that they tried to use to do that work died or were just totally unproductive. But we survived that, and we have survived segregation. Now in the Southern strategy, the plan that the Republicans hatched and that Clinton has brought to the Democratic Party that they've been doing since 64, 68, and they're still doing.
That's right.
We have another S to deal with, but none of it will stop us. We can pick our own selves up. And so this is a call to our people in Thurston County. This is a call to our people in Pierce County. This is a call to our people in King County. That I don't care if you pick this book or not, you need to get up. The seed's being planted, and it's time for us to begin to do something to help ourselves. We don't have enough money. It doesn't matter. We bring things out of nothing.
Come on.
We can't do it. There's not enough unity. It doesn't matter. With the people that will, we do everything we need to do.
That's right.
We tried it before and it didn't work. Doesn't matter. How you want to die? You want to die as the people that didn't even try because just 10, 20 years ago they didn't try? No, I want to be the people that tried again. And if it didn't work, we're going to take a break and then we're going to try it again.
In honor of our ancestors, come on.
Yeah.
You know, and just in honor to them, we
Yep.
got to do better, because
Yep,
we
yep.
do know better.
Yep.
We do know better.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm also trying to find the soldiers, and I'm trying to find the athletes. And I'm talking about men and women. I'm talking about that woman that raised that kid that people said wasn't going to do right. And just raised them until that kid did right. I'm talking about the one that developed that business when it looked like it was impossible. I'm talking about soldiers and athletes. I'm talking about the people that have had a can-do we're going to get this done attitude.
Right.
I know we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I have marched on it. I marched 6 months in Tacoma and in Seattle a year after the book was out. I have had meetings on it. I have called pastors together in Seattle. I'm going to call them together in Tacoma. If nobody comes, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to be right back out there. In the rain sometimes. And when we finally decide we're going to do it, I don't care if it's not even the main leaders.
That's right.
I know we can do it.
Well, you know, I am just honored to be in your presence and to hear that message. And I'm sure the community is, you know, digging this because it's time.
It's time.
It is time. And just like you said, this is all about you turning on to yourself so you can turn someone else on. No one's going to turn you on anymore. It's over, you know, if you're waiting on that.
Yes.
You have a poem in this book that woke me up in a real way. And I just said, so he's a poet too? What ain't you? What ain't you? What ain't you?
Not like the brother we heard at the top of the...
But I was wondering, do you think you could read from that?
I can.
I would appreciate it, because I think the community would definitely be, you know, struck to hear these words because they're so relevant.
This is the first longer poem that I wrote in my adulthood, and the poem is entitled Slippin'. It's in the back of this book. The black community is slipping, staggering like a drunk in an alley, bouncing from one wall to the next. We are limping, refusing to stop, but unable to run forward with power in life's race. We are scrimping, having to reach down in this race to pick up a dime on the ground, miraculously making ends meet. We are drifting from our true course set by leaders of old, the Menes, the Hatshepsuts, the Tupmans, the Kings. Yes, the black community is slipping. And why are we slipping? We're slipping because our great leaders are missing. Our current leaders are tripping. Missing like Harriet Tubman and Frederick, Ida Wells and a Garvey named Marcus, Fannie Lou and Malcolm too. Missing, especially King, who led us up top of the mountain of Jim Crow downward into the valley to snatch the black face off featureless Mr. Poverty. Missing as King stayed on the trail despite death firing rounds at him and firing at him and firing until Martin and not death was missing. Missing like your mama being gone when it's dark outside and then no cartoons on. Like being cornered in an alley when all your homies are missing indeed. The great leaders are missing, and thus the black community is slipping. Now our current leaders are tripping by following the path of least resistance, selling the children's birthright for a pot of white chowder. These leaders are dissing, playing power games on each other, serving as jack-o'-lanterns of division instead of candles of Umoja. They too are missing out on living heroic lives by settling for merely getting paid the okie doke. The everyday leaders are tripping, and hence the black community is slipping. These leaders are primping, caught up in style and mesmerized by their image in the mirror. They are tipping, talking about what's right without taking care of their wives and kids. They are pimping, taking the people's money without leading us into the real promised land. Nothing for something. They are sipping, giving their palates to Thunder's bird and their noses to white lines on a TV tray by the bed. The black community is slipping. The great leaders are missing, and the current leaders are tripping. But given history, blacks know we're not in the fix. Instead, we are fixing to get out of another mess. We must do some sifting, separating the wheat from the chaff, throwing the old guard onto the heap of the dead ideas, loving black elders, but kicking niggas to the curb. We must do some shifting, turning our attention toward a new leadership who will pay the cost to be the boss, who will purge the dross and gain the loss to promote our building. repairing every darker institution until our green money is as great as our black power, and our black power is as beautiful as our rainbow love for each other and everybody else. So we can prepare for our lifting to see the dawning sun, which the ancients said was the closest thing to the great God. Soon there'll be no more slipping, our feet fully gripping, and like an army we'll be stepping into the resplendent sun.
I said, are you 3G? Are you 3G?
I'm 3G with an exclamation
I
mark
said,
now. My mama made,
I
my daddy.
That just is, and I know you heard the N word in there, so I ain't even tripping on
I'm
that
sorry.
because no, we ain't gonna be
I
sorry.
had to give it authentically as I wrote it.
Thank you. We're not apologizing for expression. This is not meant to hurt. It's meant to make aware and to catch your attention. And that poem there is off the chain. And I was looking at a book that my brother is reading right now called, by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, called The Miseducation of a Negro.
Yes.
And, I thought it was braids on the person's head that's on the cover of the book, but actually it was chains on the brain.
Wow.
Chains on the brain. So I'm just wondering, when are we going to change the way we've been taught to think about ourselves and our community? And that poem says it all. From the beginning to the end, from ancestors to, how we are starting to make a move. And we're going to have to make some changes. We're going to have to take the chains off and start making some real changes. And change is uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah. And can I just add one thing too, Arkame? Your viewers are can-do people because your spirit is going to come through and it attracts them, and that's what causes them to follow and support. And I just want to say one more time that we can do this.
Oh, but we can.
We can do this.
Yes,
and if you're around people that don't think it can be done, you come find people like us. Come find me.
That's right.
We can raise our people up and begin to go from where we are to where we need to be.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Servant warriors.
Yeah.
Men and women and children, young people. Soon to be Dr. Cole L.
Ain't even trying. I got a Juris Doctor, and so I can be called doctor, but it's a law degree.
Okay, well,
and so lawyers really shouldn't do that.
Okay.
And I don't need it. You got me? And when I meet somebody that is like a doctorate, I'm happy to call them doctor. I ain't even tripping. You can call me Carl. You can call me CL. My nickname was Skeeter. You can call me that.
I
don't even need the title. Just don't call me scared to raise up our folk.
Oh, blessings. Blessings. I definitely want to say thank you for your presence here. I know you are a busy man. You're a Renaissance man yourself. And we just need more men like you stepping up, stepping out, and reaching out and letting people know where they can reach to. And you just did that. And I just so much appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we will be showing your information, your website, and your phone number where people can get in contact with you at the end of the show. And so if you want to say something right now.
I just really quickly want to say that this cost me $20,000 to get it out, $30,000 to get to this point. And if I don't make a lot of money from here on, I really realize it doesn't matter. It's about the movement now. And so what I'm saying to you all, I almost lost my house last year. But sometimes you have to bear that kind of cost.
Yes.
When I talk about doing something, I'm talking about bearing that kind of cost
Faith
to
walking.
get the job done. And so I don't care which book y'all pick to raise yourselves up, because you could pick Powernomics, you could pick Tavis Smiley's work. You can pick this one. But pick one, because it's time for us to go up.
Ashe. Whoa. Thank you again so much. I just,
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a vibe going on up in here, and I'm knowing y'all feeling it out there. I know you are. Thank you so much. Just have a blessed day.
Thank you.
And bless the rest of the life. And clearly, Pastor, Professor Carl Livingston, we're not talking about celebrating Kwanzaa 7 days out of the year. We're talking about 365.
365.
And so that's what you just gave a great illustration of that. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So we've talked a little bit about everything today. Purpose, we've talked about the principles, we've talked about the books and how you can give books as gifts to the children. We've talked about the fruits and the harvest of the vegetables. And I wanted to say one thing about that harvest piece, and that is when you're setting goals for yourself this Kwanzaa season, that's what you're going to be looking at as a harvest for the coming year of the next Kwanzaa festive. So you can kind of talk about that in your family and talk about that in the community way. But I'm hungry. I didn't say I was hungry. I'm hungry. And so one of the things we do is we definitely celebrate Kwanzaa. Now, this is the African-American tradition. This piece is. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can also do a potluck and have people donate or potluck a dish from an ancestral recipe. And one of the things I would suggest, recommend, is to start writing down the elders' recipes. Because, sometimes they take them with them, and then, you'd be trying to be in the kitchen all day long trying to figure something out, and you'll never get it right. So part of that can be a part of your festive. But let me show you what we did, and this is how we do it. Me, my son, Jose, and Stella, and my brother, Alphonse, and my granddaughter, Tatiana. This is what we do. We do it like this when we're celebrating Kwanzaa. However, I want you to keep in mind that one of the things that we're wanting to be aware of is that some people are still doing pork and some people are not. And so you want to be conscious of that. And some people are still or into healthier places where they're not eating things with faces. And so you got to be aware of that. But this is how we do it. So here's some pork riblets jerked out. And here is some, what is that, broccoli and cheese, 3 cheeses. The bomb. And here are some cornbread muffins that my brother just can't wait to sink his teeth into, and my son too. And here are some candied yams, butter. Now, let me say something about that too. This doesn't all look healthy, and some of it's not, but it's good, and it's traditional black folk food. And we only do it, 7 days out of the year. So the other times we're checking our cholesterol, watching our blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. But this time of the year, the only thing ain't here is chitlins, and I wish I would have made some, but there you go. But anyway, so we've got the chicken with that has been marinated in lemon, garlic. We have collard greens and turkey and okra. And then we have mango marinate chicken. And then we have this big old pot of rice because some people like to put the chicken over the rice and, the gravy from the jerk chicken. But I like to put my gumbo over the rice. And that's what this is. Good old gumbo. Seafood gumbo, as you can see that up there? Wish you were here. But anyway. And so here are the black-eyed peas. I can't wait to get into them. Where's my spoon at? But okay, and here is the favorite of my son's, and my 3 cheese macaroni. And he can't wait to get into that, I'm sure. And then we've got potato salad. And then we've got fresh fruit, and I didn't even unwrap my onions for the camera. But in the meantime, we put the onions in here so it didn't do the whole dish up. But there's fresh raw vegetables. Sweet potato pie and pecan pie. Bon appetit. I'm so hungry. See y'all later. Holla!
I would now summon the spirits of my ancestors and draw them into me. For at this moment, I am the reason they have existed at all. From the ancient Egyptians to hip-hop, from Cleopatra to Lauryn Hill, from the sound of a drum to see an African dance, to Alvin Ailey, from my yacht to being saved, from knowing true education to public schools, from great kings to the Latin kings, you know, a gang in New York. The word freedom in German is pronounced Freidum, the right to die, but we continue to multiply. From Moses, who's as black as Harriet Tubman, no need for distinction. From the leaders to the followers, to those who refuse to be digested when the beast swallowed us. From Crispus Attucks to Rodney King, like boxing, the only thing square is the ring. Christopher Columbus on his Santa Maria was not flying Spain's flag, but skull and crossbone. You see, my great-great-great-great-grandfather told how he mistook kindness for weakness, like an opportunist in a get-rich-quick scheme. But enough about Chris. From independence to welfare, from the colonies to the projects, from the one who calls himself master to the one we call the man, let me mention true men and women. Booker T. Washington and Maxine Mims. You see, they were both founders of higher awareness. It'll behoove you not to be careless. From the mother of necessity that rises out of oppression to the humble beginnings of Jesus Christ in his manger, then saving the world. From being called Negro to colored to black to African American, once again, no need for distinction. I like how Toni Morrison put it. How can you say America and not include us, the builders? To W.E.B. Du Bois, the intellects. So many contributions, the miseducation hurts. From the Spaniards of European descent to us Puerto Ricans of African descent. Con su quima la cumbara, con maquima la cumbara, salsa. From the Buffalo Soldiers to the Black Panthers. From the Civil War to the war on drugs. From the Emancipation Proclamation to affirmative action in I-200. From the Jim Crow Army to don't ask, don't tell. The military, always trying to build morale. From civil unrest to the LA riots, the rap lyrics, the spiritual songs, we were telling you all along. Who do we have to be to get some reciprocity? Once again, Lauryn Hill. From the assassinations of Martin and Malcolm to the 41 bullets into one African immigrant by 4 New York police officers carrying 6 shooters, you do the math. From Mingo Hart to Marcus Garvey and Kwame Taha, thank you, my brothers. And from Sojourn the Truth to Mari Evans and Joy Hardiman, God bless the mothers of all men.
Thank you. Awesome. Antonio Edwards. Doing it. You know, we were talking earlier, and you were talking about how you are, you have this gift. You were raised, or you happen to be in a presence of people from, well, tell us.
Yeah, I was growing up in New York. My parents are from Puerto Rico. My grandparents are from Jamaica. We listened to African music, Caribbean music, salsa. So I was as eclectic as I can be. All those cultures, and I celebrate them all. They all run through the blood runs through my veins, and when I hear a certain type of music, I go to schools and I tell kids, I says, if there's Cinco de Mayo Day, I'm celebrating.
That's right.
If it's St. Patrick's Day, I'm celebrating.
That's right.
If it's Kwanzaa, Black History Month, I'm celebrating because all those cultures make me rich, and they all run through my veins, that blood.
Hey, we might be relatives.
That's right.
I don't have any Puerto Ricans, not that I know of. But that's so true. And I'm thinking about Kwanzaa. You know, we've been talking about a lot about how we actually celebrate and live Kwanzaa. And I don't want people to get twisted about this being a religious holiday, because it's not. It's a secular holiday. And even though it has touched Black people to reach us to touch ourselves and to go back to see where we came from and where we're going. That's what this holiday is really about. It's about uplifting ourselves. And so what's important is you giving this message to these young people, and hearing someone like yourself who is, you know, you got that swagger, and you got that intellect and that wisdom, that they'll listen, you know, and inspire, you know,
Definitely.
others. And so we just appreciate that. What do you have anything you want to say in closing?
Yeah, you know, when I go talk to young people, I encourage them to speak life.
Yes.
Speak life to themselves and to other people. Because what comes out of your mouth is very powerful. So when I go to elementary school or junior high school or high school, colleges even, that's my main goal, is to encourage them to speak life. Let life comes out of their mouth and speak life to themselves and to other people. I love the quote from Marianne Williamson that says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And that quote empowers me, and when I go visit those schools, I have the young people recite that quote. So,
You know, it's all about the glow. If you don't have it, better go get you some. I just want to thank my guests. This has been one of the it's been a dream come true, actually. I mean, I'm blessed today to be able to share these powerful people with you, their message. Antonio Edwards, Professor Pastor Carl Livingston, and Fatu, you know, Mateen. I'm just really happy to see that you were able to come here and share your time with us. But Fatu, I would like, if you would, to take us out in a dance.
Yes, yes.
If you could.
Yes, and I also want to say that was Nelson Mandela, that was that quote that everybody else adopted, Nelson
Yes.
Mandela, which is beautiful. Lamba is the dance for everybody. It means truth is here. Hey, Jalia, Anna Lake, Jalia.
Oh, Shay. Oh, my. Beautiful, beautiful. I can feel that energy. I don't know if y'all can feel that out there, but it's something going on in the inside that's got me all teared up. Now, I know that you've been dancing for a long time, and Fatu will have her information as well as your information at the end of the segment to have people contact you for training for trainers, because you might be interested in helping people to pass that dance along, because that is so powerful.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming out, spending this time with us celebrating Kwanzaa, and we hope to be able to share some other things with you throughout the year. But this time was a very blessed event, and I just really thank you for staying tuned and seeing what's going on. And please contact us through our contact information if you have any questions or concerns or anything that we can help you out with about what's going on in the community and what you thought about the program. I'd like to hear what you're thinking. All right, so be blessed and enjoy the new year. Thank you. So we're back. We have Dawud Mateen, who's been the musical director of our program. And we wanted to have you hear him do some of his pieces. But Dawud, why so many instruments, and why so eloquent, and why so spiritually in touch with the poets, with the speakers, with the drum? How is that? How are you making that happen?
Basically, I think we just have to thank the Creator for those talents that we have that lie dormant in us, and we need to tap into them. And personally speaking for myself, being close to 60 years old, I've realized I had musical talent around 18. However, I was too busy playing ball growing up, baseball, football, baseball, basketball. And in college, in my freshman year, at a vendor, I picked up this little wooden flute here, purchased it, and that's when I found out I had some talent. And over the years, off and on, it was put it down, pick it back up, put it down, pick it back up. And so all of these years, it was just kind of lying dormant. And to bring it up to date, probably about in '82, I purchased this, a real flute in a pawn shop in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Same thing, off and on, put it down, play, put it down. About 8 years ago, I was listening to some jazz in the garage, and I loved the jazz piece so much that I picked this up, alto saxophone. So what that told me when I heard the jazz piece, it's like, man, that sounds good, Dawud. Why don't you think about trying to blow a sax? So I went to a music shop and rented one to see if I was going to take to it, and I did. And of course, I drove people crazy for a while, because you don't sound good when you first start off at anything. And as far as the drum, so I've been cultivating. I've been cultivating the sax back into the flute with my wooden piccolo flute. And the drums, all I can say is that it's in our DNA. It's in us from where we come from, our African ancestry. And so my wife and I, Fatu, she's been in the African drum dance community for 25 years or so.
Right.
So when we married, and now in the arena with her, with the African drummers and the other musicians and what have you, wherever we go, the spoken word venues with Antonio and Stella, Josh Reisberg, what have you, it's a flow, So whether it's spoken word, whether it's what you have in you, you have to cultivate it. And so that's what I've been doing. So that's why when Antonio does his thing, spoken word, or whomever it may be, or somebody picks up something, I can just come in and flow. And so, all I can just say is praise the Creator, praise God,
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard you play several times, and you are awesome. I mean, just
thank you.
To be honest, when we first started the taping of the show, I was a little, anxious and a little, wired, and you picked up that flute, and all of a sudden, I just went to another place. I mean, that went away, and I went to another place, and I think Fatu, we both did, and I just appreciate your presence and your ability and your talent.
Thank you.
And so I'm going to stop talking and let you do
Thank you.
something for us as we close out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, we want to thank Thurston Community TV. We want to thank the viewers out there. And I definitely want to thank everybody that showed up today to participate in this process, from the crew that helped set up, from the cameramen, from the guest speakers, and the staff at Thurston Community Television. We really appreciate this moment that we've been able to share with you. Have a great evening or a great day wherever you're at. Be blessed. Peace.